All right, daily bias. So, first things first, what I look at for daily bias is the weekly profile, which means, let me send them next day, which means did the week open low or did the week open high? When I use this, I'm assuming open low, high close, or open high, low close for the week. So if Monday opens low, I'm assuming Tuesday will stay low, like Wednesday will start to reverse, and then we'll have a high close for the week. And also, I pair failure swings, which is so look, this swing high fails to manipulate this swing high. We just have a bunch of stacked failure swings to key liquidity levels, which are like obviously where all the stops are. So this is the daily time frame. And here we actually have a really good example of an SMT that I would use to pair with my daily bias. As you can see, NQ fails, NQ takes that low. Oh shit, that is not an SMT. This is. ES takes this swing low that's in a relevant gap, and we reverse off of it. We fill the gap, grab the liquidity, and NQ fails to take that low, and we reverse off of it. So I could assume that this day put in the reversal, this day would continue, and I'm expecting this day to at least fill this gap. We've already filled it on NQ. I'm expecting it to like, let's check 4 hour now. It's like we'll go top down, so I'll go like higher time frames to lower time frames. 4 hour, I could still assume up. Why is that? Because we've taken our own previous 4 hour low and we're continuing to go up to like swing highs that we've haven't taken yet, which is like they're pretty good targets. So now we'll check the hourly, and here are the sessions. This is Asia, London, New York session. So let's see what Asia did. Asia kind of expands, London consolidates, and NQ or New York sweeps this low, this London low. It sweeps the low and reverses, so I can assume that we're bullish to this high. And then I'll like drop time frames, blah blah blah, 15-minute, be like I want to reject out of this, blah blah blah. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about daily bias. So let's see if that we're right. There we go. Okay, so we take it on both assets. That's how I kind of picture it. Let's go to the next day. All right, let's check the daily. Let's see how we close. Look at that. We reversed off that swing high that we talked about. Look at that daily close. Okay, this is a very weak daily close. So I don't necessarily like this up as much. I kind of like this daily low. I feel like we could take our own daily low and reverse off of it on one other asset because, all right, so what I'm thinking here. All right, let's see the daily. I mean, it makes sense for us to be bullish, but this is like a really weak candle. As you can see, we tapped into a daily gap after taking that swing high, and we reversed. So I could be bearish, but I'm still pretty bullish to these highs, so I'm expecting them to get ran. So let's drop to the 4 hour. 4 hours kind of sideways, which is really ugly. I don't really like that at all. There's previous daily low. 4 hour is pretty friggin' ugly. Let's see what we could look for again. Let's see if we have any relevant SMTs. Okay. Here we go. We have an SMT there. ES is already taking this low. Let's see if we are framing a reversal, which we're not yet. Here are the sessions. So session profiles also play into daily bias. One main session profile that I use is called session PO3, which we want to see Asia. We want to see Asia consolidate, like stay in a little range, just consolidate. And then we want to see London manipulate the high of Asia, like fill, like let's say there's like a fair value gap here too, like fill an imbalance or take like a key high. And then what we want New York to do, this is accumulate, it manipulates above this level. And then we want New York to keep pushing down and distribute lower. So as you can see here, like Asia kind of expands, London takes out that and reverses. So I could frame lower, but we're not necessarily lower yet because of the higher time frame and if this SMT holds or not. So let's see. We tapped into a 1 hour gap, we filled it. ES filled it as well. Ooh. We have this SMT as well, which is a really good SMT. So I kind of want up here, but I feel like we could manipulate this low, and this low. Let's see what we do. Okay, so there we go again, because these are failure swings. That's why we assumed that. Let's see if we can do one more day. Get it right again. See, as I said, this is a really weak candle. And something else that you can also play into effect, like use to your, all right, let's just do a gap or a box. So halfway of this box on the wick, we can assume if we tap into like halfway or like reject halfway of the, it's called constant encroachment, which is about 50% of the wick. We failed to tap into 50% and we already started reversing. So I could, like, that's an invalidation for me. Let's say if we tapped into 50% of this wick, I would expect us to continue higher. That's one good invalidation. Daily. We're probably going to go take this SMT that we had. Actually, we're probably not because that's really fucking far away. That's really far away. Let's check the 4 hour now. We could also use inverse fair value gaps to play into our effect, but I don't really like these as much for bias. I like using profiles and like liquidity with relevant failure swings too for my daily bias. But right now, we have an SMT with these lows. So this SMT is also within a gap on ES. But, ooh, let's see what we did. Because, okay, so if we reverse off our own low, that's a pretty good profile within a gap as well. Like, did we reverse immediately? Yeah, we kind of did, but. Okay, so consolidates, manipulates, takes this high within a gap, kind of distributes. I don't really like this. I feel like we could take this high again and then reverse. But there's no relevant targets for me because this is not a failure swing to this. Whoa. That's not SMT. This, I feel like we could take this high and reverse, and why am I thinking that? I don't really know. I can't explain it. It's like just the only relevant high that we could take. If this low in theory is protected, it would be protected by a 1 hour close above this, and that would be my invalidation for shorts. But I'm thinking shorts into this SMT, or we reverse off this high. This is like a mixed day for me, but generally, you can assume like we're kind of in a range, right? So we're kind of in this little box on both assets. So we put in an SMT here. Let's check the 50-minute. Whoa. Can you load? FX Replay? Okay. We also put in another SMT and reversed off our own low. So I would be expecting bullish price action to this high and this high above as well. Okay, that's just news, but we did take that high. Let's see if we took that high first or second. So we took the lows first and then did actually reverse off our own lows. That must have been news. What day is this? Wednesday, March 23rd. It's probably literally like FOMC or something stupid. Okay, I guess we don't have news, but I can wait. March 8th. That was so stupid. Okay, yeah. Okay, we had Jay Powell speaking. But let's see if we could find something now. 4 hour. This is disgusting. We filled this gap. Rejected off of it. I want higher. Just based off of that, and there's like a lot of gaps to fill. But Powell's talking, so it might not play out. Okay. I mean, I feel like I pretty much called that out perfectly, majority of like all 3 days in a row. So that's pretty much how I go over my daily bias. So first things first, I'm looking for weekly profile. So what did I say on the weekly? The week, like this kind of manipulates and starts to reverse. We opened low. We take out our own lows and reverse. Open, low, high, close is the weekly profile for this. So first things first that I'll look at is weekly profile. Second things I'll look at is daily candles and daily candles / where are failure swings. Which failure swings are, I explained it, but I'll explain it again. Like, let's say we're making higher highs and higher lows. And we make we're making higher highs and lower lows. And then we start a switch, and then these lows or these highs that we're making kind of fail to take this like really relevant high that we would be more likely to reverse off of. So you'd expect price to trade back in to some of these highs and then reverse. That's how I kind of use that's how I use failure swings. So daily candles, where are the failure swings? And then daily candles and 4 hours, we're looking for failure swings. And then third, we're looking 50%. We're looking at 50% of the wicks and the bodies to see if price respects those or not. And then if we don't respect those, we can invalidate our bias. 4, high time frame gaps that can hold us down / keep us up. So, like, what was that gap we had? I think it was 4 hour. We tapped into a gap, and it's keeping us up. We tapped into the gap. We fill it like perfect, like nearly perfectly. We tap into it on ES as well. It might be 50% on the dot. Yeah, it's like literally, that's perfect. We tap into 50% of the gap and we reject it. Like this gap can hold us up or keep us down in a sense. So that's kind of what I look for with my daily bias. And one thing that you can also do is at New York Open, 9:30, it's called a driver. We could pair driver with our narratives. Oh, I should have session profiles as well. Session profiles, AMD, which means accumulation, manipulation, and distribution, like I explained earlier. We could also pair drivers with our bias. So 9:30, what does it do? It expands in the direction of our bias. Why are you not working? It expands in the direction of our bias. So we could assume since 9:30 has confirmed our bias, we could like wait for a retracement and then trade away from 9:30. And you could also do this with red news. Look at this red news. 110%, there was news here. No random 8:30 candle, that's not news. What is the 9th? Yeah, 8:30 news. Preferably it's red. But news can also confirm your bias. Sometimes news will put in a manipulation. Like this news could have came down, manipulated this low, and then reversed. But news actually expanded in the direction of our bias, which gives us even more of a confluence for up. That's pretty much what I look for on the daily. But I can also make another video on invalidations, like when I'll flip my bias, which is really my invalidations are, do we reject and like, do we flip after an SMT? Like if we have an SMT and we reverse off our SMT and then we trade back into that SMT, I'm not really going to assume, since it didn't hold and it's not protected, that we would trade up if we had SMT at lows. Also, it's the 50% thing as well. That is one thing that I look for. Let's see if we go up and take that high eventually. No, we don't. But I said gap filled up. Okay, that's pretty much it.